Pranam Swamiji.
Namaste.
Namaste to everyone. We at Advaita Academy welcome Swamiji and you all to the 1 month long Oneness Festival, a global celebration of Adi Shankaracharya ji. In this session, we have a live talk by Swami Sarvapriyananda ji, followed by a Q&A, and then a music video session by Vidwan Umashankar ji. Please stay back for both. And for the new attendees, we have 4 different sessions every day, 2 in the morning at 6 a.m. IST and 2 in the evening at 6:30 p.m. IST. Swami Sarvapriyananda ji has been appointed as minister and spiritual leader of the Vedanta Society of New York and assumed his duties there on January 6, 2017. He is a Nagral Fellow for 2019-20 at Harvard Divinity School. Prior to this, Swamiji served as Assistant Minister of the Vedanta Society of Southern California for 13 months. Swamiji joined the Ramakrishna Math and Mission in 94 and received sannyas in 2004. Before being posted to the VSSC's Hollywood Temple, Swamiji served as an Acharya, teacher, of the Monastic Probationers Training Center at Belur Math. He has served the Ramakrishna Math and Mission in various capacities, including being the vice principal of the Deogarh Vidyapeeth Higher Secondary School, as principal of the Shikshana Mandira Teacher Educational College at Belur Math, and he was also the first registrar of the Vivekananda University at Belur Math. You may please type in your comments and questions in the chat box below, and after the talk, I will pass them on to Swamiji. We now humbly request Swamiji to please grace us with his discourse. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha.
Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vante Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Good evening to those who are on the East Coast, and I think it's morning in India. So, namaste to everybody. I congratulate the Advaita Academy, the Indic Academy, for organizing this wonderful program to mark the anniversary of Adi Shankaracharya. And thank you for having me here. I would like to start with this nice story about Hanuman asking Sri Ramachandra that how can I obtain moksha? This is something you find in Muktika Upanishad, one of the lesser known Upanishads. And Ramachandra says, Mandukyam ekam alam mumukshunam vimuktaye. The Mandukya Upanishad by itself is sufficient to give moksha for those who are mumukshus, who want moksha. And then he proceeds to give a list of 10 Upanishads and then more Upanishads up to 108 Upanishads. He says that if you do not get moksha with the Mandukya Upanishad, and then there are these 108 Upanishads. So I think the easier way would be to get moksha through the Mandukya Upanishad. It is certainly very small, but very powerful. It is the shortest of the Upanishads, only 12 mantras, but extraordinarily powerful. The Upanishad itself, it's an interesting structure. See, Upanishad itself is only 12 mantras, but Gaudapada Acharya wrote his well-known Mandukya Karikas, verses explaining these 12 mantras in 4 chapters. So there is chapter 1, the Agama Prakarana, which includes the Mandukya Upanishad, as well as certain Karikas by Gaudapada. In chapter 2, the Vaitatya Prakarana, which has only the Karikas of Gaudapada. And chapter 3 is Advaita Prakarana, which also has Karikas by Gaudapada. And then the 4th chapter, the Alata Shanti Prakarana, which also is only Gaudapada Karika. Now, all these 4 chapters together are known as the Gaudapada Karika. So the Upanishad itself is included in the first chapter. And on all of this, the Upanishads and the Karikas of Gaudapada Acharya, Adi Shankaracharya has composed a Bhaashyam, a commentary, a wonderful commentary on all the 4 chapters, on the Upanishad and on the Karikas of Gaudapada. So I thought for this session, we can have a taste of the Shankara Bhaashyam of the Mandukya Upanishad. In fact, Shankaracharya himself says, Sarva Vedantartha Sara Sangraha Bhutam Idam Prakarana Chatushtayam. These 4 chapters, meaning these 4 chapters of the Mandukya Karika, they contain the essence of the entire Vedanta. So that's such a high regard that he held the Mandukya Upanishad and the Karikas. So these days when the Upanishad is studied, it's studied along with the Karikas and with the help of Shankara's commentary. In this Upanishad, the most important verse, most important mantra is the 7th mantra, which is what I'm going to talk about. We all know the Mandukya Upanishad is famous for its approach to Vedantic inquiry, the inquiry into the 3 states of experience. So we have our waking experience, we have our dream experience, and the deep sleep experience. And the Mandukya Upanishad says that this Atman, the self, has 4 aspects. The first aspect is the waker. We are experiencing this world through our sense organs, and this is our waking life. So this the Mandukya calls Bahishpragya, where the awareness is directed outwards through the senses, and we are aware of our world. This is the waking, Jagrat state. Then we fall asleep and we lose contact with the external world. The external world disappears from our experience, and there's an internal world of dreams. And all of that is entirely imagined in the mind. How do we know? When we wake up, we say, oh, it was a dream. It was all imagination in the mind. So this second state of experience, this is called the second aspect of the self, the dream state, where the Upanishad calls it Antahpragya, the awareness directed inward. Inward means inward in the mind. This is the Swapna. And then the mind shuts down. It resolves into its Bija Avastha, a potential state, which we call the deep sleep, which is a state of blankness. We have it's not an absence of experience, it's an experience of absence, let's put it that way. We have an experience of uniform blankness. And the Mandukya Upanishad, it calls it the Prajnana Ghana, which means an undifferentiated mass of awareness. Why undifferentiated? Because the usual difference of subject and object. I am experiencing this. This difference is not there. It's as if covered over. That's the deep sleep experience. The Upanishad is actually not about any of these. Upanishad is using these 3 common experiences of all of us to point out what it is really interested in is the real nature of the self, which the Upanishad calls 4th. We all use the term Turiya. The Upanishad itself does not use the term Turiya. Gaudapada Acharya introduced it. Shankaracharya also uses it in his commentary. Turiya simply means the 4th. The 4th. Why 4th? 1, waker, Bahishpragya. 2, dreamer, the Antahpragya. And 3, deep sleeper, the Prajnana Ghana. The Upanishad says that our real nature is none of these 3. Our real nature is the 4th, which is called Turiya by Gaudapada and by Shankaracharya. So in the 7th mantra, that is the sum and substance of the 7th mantra, the 7th mantra is very powerful. If you ask me, my favorite Upanishad is the Mandukya Upanishad. And in the Mandukya Upanishad, 7th mantra is my favorite mantra. And I would say it's the most powerful mantra in the entire Vedantic literature. What does it say about our real nature, the 4th? Na antapragyam, na bahishpragyam, na ubhayata pragyam, na pragyana ghanam, na pragyam, na pragyam, adrishtam abhyavaharyam, agrahyam, alakshanam, achintyam, abhyapadeshyam, ekatma pratyasaram, prapanchopashamam, shantam, shivam advaitam, chaturtham manyante sa atma sa vijneyah. So it says, what is that fourth? It says it is not the inward, it's not the outward directed consciousness, not the waker. It's not the dreamer. It's not the deep sleeper. It's not a kind of awareness which is in between, ubhayata pragyam. It is not the deep sleeper also, na pragyana ghana. It is not the omniscient Ishvara. Sarva Vishaya Yugapat Pramatritvam, Shankaracharya says, knowing everything altogether, basically omniscience, which means Ishvara. It is not an omniscient awareness of God, not even that. We're not talking about God here. And it is not unconscious either, na apragyam. And it is not something which is an object of the sense organs. You can't see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it. You can't infer it. Alakshanam, that means we say, we see smoke on the hill and we say there is fire there. Though we don't see the fire, we say parvato vanniman dhumavatvat, because there is smoke which you can see on the hill. By that you infer that there is fire. Is there some mark by which we can infer that we are that fourth, that pure consciousness, Atman? Nothing like that. You cannot infer it. It cannot be spoken about. It's beyond language. It cannot be brought into daily usage, abhyavaharyam. It cannot be, it's not indicated by language and therefore unthinkable, achintyam. It cannot be thought about, all negative. Then the Upanishad says, Eka Atma Pratyasaram. By tracing this I consciousness, this I, which is there all the time, when you do vichara on that and trace it back to its real nature, that's the way to realize it. Very profound terms. All of these Shankaracharya dwells on at length. Gaudapada Acharya explains. Prapanchopashamam, a very beautiful word. It is a poetic way of saying it's the silence of the universe. In that fourth, in our real nature, in the Turiya, the universe is resolved. There is no universe. Prapancha upashamam. It's the state of the quiescence, the disappearance of a distinct, separate subject-object universe. Shantam. It is beyond all sorrow. Beyond all sorrow, beyond all suffering. No coronavirus there. Shivam, it is all auspicious. Advaitam, non-dual. There is no second reality apart from that fourth. All of these were very profound. And in fact, you might say in one sense, the second chapter of the Mandukya Karika, the Vaitatya Prakaranam, is basically the entire chapter is a commentary on this one word, Prapanchopashamam, which tries to demonstrate the falsity of the Jagat by using logic. Advaitam, non-duality. The third chapter of the Mandukya Karika is in fact a kind of explanation, a commentary on non-duality by using logic. Sa Atma Chaturtham Manyante. People think it is the fourth, but actually it's not the fourth. It is the one reality which appears as waking, dreaming, deep sleep. We'll see some more about that. And this is the Atma, this is yourself. It is you. We can always say, all right, Turiya is like this, the fourth is like this. So what do I care? We are talking about you. We were talking about our real nature. How do I get it? Savigneyaha. It has to be realized. And so the entire process of Advaita is for realizing our nature as this. This is the meaning of Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. By the way, Mandukya Upanishad actually has one of the four great Mahavakyas. The Prajnanam Brahma, Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. In the Mandukya Upanishad, which is in the Atharva Veda, we have the Atharva Veda Mahavakya, Ayam Atma Brahma. This very self is Brahman. So how do we realize this? Shankaracharya now dwells on the subtleties of this mantra. Very powerful commentary, Bhaashyam. We do not have time to do all of it, of course, but let me just, let's have a sample. We'll enjoy the Bhaashyam a little bit. Okay. It starts off, you notice something interesting. The mantra starts off by talking about the fourth, our real nature, But instead of directly talking about what is our real nature, it says it is not the dreamer, it is not the deep sleeper, it is not the waker, na bahish pragyam, na anta pragyam, na pragyana khanam. Now the question may be that if all of these are denied, the I, the waker, and my waking world, so the turiam, of my real nature is none of this. All right. I, the dreamer, and my dreams, all the contents of my dreams. You say, Turiya, your real self is none of that. All right. I, the deep sleeper, and the potential blankness of deep sleep is none of that. Turiya is none of that also. If you deny all this, the immediate question comes up, then it's nothing. This Turiyam, Atman, Brahman, is it some reality, or are you talking about a void or shunyam? And Shankaracharya says, Shunyam eva tarhi tat. Then in that case, are you talking about a void? Nothing. Shankaracharya explains. So often he raises this question. Often, if you think about it deeply, these are the questions in our mind when we study Advaita Vedanta. So he raises these questions, and then he uses them as an occasion to investigate deeper into the profound teachings of Advaita. Shunyam eva tarhi, then what you're talking about is nothing, is blank, is void, shunyam. Shankaracharya says, no, not so. Mithya vikalpasya nirnimittatva anupavattehe. He says, when something is denied, when something is claimed to be false, the false cannot exist without a foundation. The unreal, the appearance, cannot exist without reality. So, the classic example of the snake and the rope. You mistake a rope for a snake. Now, the false snake, the illusory snake, it cannot exist without the rope. We Advaitins, we do not say that only an illusion can exist. Niradhara brahma navayam angikurmaha. We do not say that brahma, error, illusion, adhyasa can be there without any ground. Just illusion, just appearance, and no ultimate reality. That's impossible. Wherever you say there is some error, there must be some truth. Wherever you say there is a mistake, there must be something which is real, which is being mistaken. So he says, without any reason, without any ground, there cannot be falsity. So there must be some ground of that falsity. And then he gives examples. Nahi rajata sarpa purusha mrigatrishnika adi vikalpaha shuktika rajju sthanu purusha usharadi vyatirekena avastvaspadaha shakyaha kalpaitum. He gives several examples. The classic Advaitic examples. The nacre is mistaken for silver. There's something shiny on the beach and people think it's silver, and they go and they find it's the seashell and shuktika. Without the seashell, that error of silver will not come. It says sarpa and rajju. Without the actual rope, the pratibhasika, that the erroneous, the superimposed adhyasta snake will not be there. You cannot have a mistake without something to be mistaken about. Then he gives an example of Purusha and Sthanu. So there is some pillar in the distance, and from a distance somebody mistakes it to be a human being. Maybe it's an old tree trunk with two dead branches, and from a distance looks like a human being. So that human being, that mistaken human being, cannot exist without that Sthanu, the pillar or that old tree trunk. Brigatrishnika, the classic example of the mirage. The mirage cannot exist without the desert and the atmospheric conditions for seeing a mirage. So without a ground of reality, you cannot imagine that an error can happen. Therefore, what does he mean to say? He means to say that when you deny the waker and the dreamer and the deep sleeper, you are not saying that the real self is gone. It's like saying that if you show golden ornaments, a necklace, a ring, or a bracelet, and then say gold is not the necklace, not the ring, not the bracelet, and then somebody says then gold is nothing. No, not at all. It's not a particular ornament, but it is the reality of all the ornaments. Similarly, the Turiyam, the Atman, it's not the waker, dreamer, or deep sleeper, no particular state of consciousness, but it is the underlying awareness existence in and through all of these states. Then, so there is an adhara-adheya relationship. There is the ground on which there is the error. So he's claiming, why do you deny the waker, dreamer, deep sleeper? They are appearances. They are names and forms. But the reality is this Turiyam, the pure consciousness. It's not that you are a waker and a dreamer and a deep sleeper and one more thing called Atma, Turiya. No, you are the Atman. We are the Atman. And the waking state, the Atman, in and through the upadhis of body and mind, experiencing a world, the whole thing is superimposed as an appearance on the Atman, on the Turiya, just like a snake appears or is illusory appearance on the rope or a mirage in the desert. Now the question is, a beautiful question is raised. Evam tarhi, in that case, pranadi sarva vikalpaspadatva turiyasya shabdavacyatvam. See, all of this, the prana and the body and mind, actually prana here technically means Ishvara, the creator of the universe. Basically what it means is the entire universe, including this body and mind, the individual and the cosmic. All of this, if you say they are appearances and there is a ground to that reality, then you have already said that there is a relation, adhara-adheya relationship is there. And therefore, you can actually express the Turiya by saying, by using that adhara-adheya relation, that sambandha. You need not use this negative language and say, it is not this, it is not that. Why not directly say, Turiya is the adhara in which appears the entire universe? Why not use that language? Iti na pratishedei pratyayitvam udaka adharaderiva ghatade. He gives another example. When you put water in a pot, for example, udaka, or milk or whatever, in a pot. So the pot is the adhara, and whatever you put in that, the water is the adheya. Now, you can say, here is the pot which contains water. You don't have to use negative language. You can say, here is Turiya, which contains all of this world and the three states of awareness and so on and so forth. Why not use that language? Why use the language of negation? And then Shankaracharya here, he gives a, as I said, all of these questions, these are natural questions which come to us and we ask, or sometimes they may not come to us, they come to philosophers who ponder about these things incessantly. Shankaracharya answers those questions, but also uses them to reveal to us the deeper dimensions of Advaita. So in his answer, he enters into the philosophy of language. The next passage, I will just touch upon it a little bit. So why can't you use this relationship between Turiya and the three states, waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, and talk about Turiya in that way? Shankaracharya says, no. Pranadi vikalpasya asatvat shuktikadishu iva rajatadehe nahi sadasato sambandha shabda pravritti nimitta bhag avastutvat. He says, no. There cannot be a relationship between the unreal and the real. There cannot be a relationship between the false and the true. Between an appearance and reality, there can be no relationship. What does he mean? He says it's like the rope and the snake. Is it really rope and the snake? Is there really a snake which is on a rope? Is it that there's a rope and on top of that there's a snake which is sitting there and you have to somehow drive away the snake? No, not at all. In fact, there is only the rope, and it is by mistake that we think it's a snake. So there is no real snake. If there is no real snake, the real rope cannot have any real relationship with a false snake. What Shankaracharya is trying to say here is that if the snake is not real, then the rope's relation of being the adhara for that erroneous snake, that relationship is also not real. I was just thinking, little children sometimes have imaginary friends. So they play with these friends and they talk to these friends. Now, will you say that my son or daughter has 10 friends, 5 are real and 5 are imaginary? You can't say that. You have to say that there are 5 friends, and she imagines some imaginary friends. And the friendship that the little child has with the imaginary friend not only is the friend imaginary, the friendship also is imaginary. So Shankaracharya says, Sadasato Sambandha Nasyat. It cannot, it's not possible. So there is the relationship between the real and the imaginary is also imaginary, and it cannot be expressed by language. You cannot use language, you cannot use it to indicate the reality. So therefore, that objection, why are you denying the waker, dreamer, deep sleeper to reveal the Turiya? That objection is not right. The only way of revealing the Turiya is to deny the waker, dreamer, deep sleeper. The only way of revealing this rope is to deny the snake, is to negate, to show the erroneous nature of the snake. The only way to understand the desert, that the reality, is to deny that the mirage is really water. To see the water as a mirage, then you realize it's not really water, it's the desert. Then he goes into a detailed discussion of the philosophy of language, which I'm skipping for the time being. Before we go to questions, so time flies very fast. Before we go to questions, the next topic which Shankaracharya raises here is another very nice question. Is a Purva Paksha. Shashavishanadi samatvat nirattakatvam tarhi. Somebody may ask the question that, all right, I understand that there is a real Atman or Turiya, and the waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, they are appearances and they are not real. And so this Atman is beyond language. You cannot see it, hear it, smell it, taste it. It cannot be engaged in any kind of daily use, and so on. Then it seems pretty useless. So this Turiya, this Atman, this Brahman, what use is it? He gives an example, Shashavishanadi. So this is a classic example of asat, something which is completely non-existent. It's the hair, the rabbit's horns. The rabbit has no horn. Like Akasha Kusuma. There are flowers in the sky. There are no flowers in the sky. They're absolutely non-existent. So just as they are completely useless because they do not exist, this one, this Atman Turiya, suppose it exists. Even if it exists, it's not useful. You have yourself said it does not enter into daily transactions. Abhyavaharyam. What good is this kind of Turiya? What practical use is Advaita itself? And Shankaracharya uses this to give a very incisive answer. I was thinking that many years ago, about 20 years ago, I was a novice of Brahmachari in Belur Math, and I asked a very senior Swami almost the same question. So at that time, the source is different. At that time, I was impressed by, I was reading some of the philosophy of pragmatism, Charles Peirce, William James. And the idea is truth is related to use, utility. So it must have some use. Somebody joked, it's a cash value philosophy. What value is it? So I asked this teacher, this senior Swami, what value is Advaita? What is the use of Advaita? It's pretty useless in that. The one very abstract kind of concept of the Atman. And his answer was beautiful. He said, it is of the greatest use. It is of the greatest use. Because it is Atyantika Dukkha Nivritti, total cessation of sorrow, and Paramananda Prapti, attainment of eternal bliss and peace and Purnatvam. All that we are trying to do in life and life after life is to attain that, overcome suffering and attain peace. And Shankaracharya will show why you will certainly fail if you live in the world of appearance and take that to be real. And you will certainly succeed in overcoming suffering if you realize yourself as the Turiya. So it is of the greatest use. Shankaracharya, let us see his answer. I'll just read out the answer and then we will take some questions. So it's useless. The question is, this Turiya you're talking about, even if it exists. So what was the earlier question? It does not exist. Shunyam. Shankaracharya says, no. Whenever something is shown to be false, there must be a reality. And then the next question was, well, then there is the relationship between that false waker, dreamer, deep sleeper and the real Turiya. Why don't you use that? No, you cannot use that, because between the false and the real, there can be no real relationship. And you cannot use language in that context. And then the next question was, then even if it exists, it seems pretty useless. Shankaracharya replies, Na atmatva avagame turiyasya anatma trishna vyavritti hetutvat shuktika avagamaiva rajata trishnayaha. He says, once you realize you are the turiya, what happens is all the trouble caused by the anatma, the non-atman, body, mind, external world, it is realized to be false. It's realized to be an appearance. What troubles us about the world is the reality of it. So what tempts us and what terrifies us, it's because it's real. Imagine, I give the example of King Kong movie. So here we are in New York. So in King Kong movie, in the King Kong is a big gorilla who attacks New York, and everybody enjoys it because it's a movie. So if that huge gorilla is attacking New York and people are enjoying it and clapping, and even the fear is also a make-believe fear. But those same people in the hall, in cinema hall, would be terrified if even a small monkey, the real monkey, were let loose in that. So terror or fear, if it is make-believe, if it's an appearance, if it does not affect you, then it's no problem at all. Similarly, temptation also. You realize if it's not a reality, if it's a fiction, then it cannot tempt you. It has no power over you. So he says, Turiyasya anatma trishna, turiyasya atmatva avagame anatma trishna vyavritti hetutvat. It removes the hunger, the trishna, the thirst for the anatma. Just as by realizing that it's a shuktika and not silver, the desire, the greed for silver goes away. Nahi turiyasya atmatva avagame sati avidya trishnadi doshanam sambhavo asti. Once you realize that I am that turiya, I am aham brahmasmi, then that feeling of limitedness, I am a little creature, body, mind, subject to sorrow and old age, body, disease, coronavirus. Here, so many of you are in India and under lockdown, here in New York. So similar situation, lockdown, but terrible. Thousands of people infected, thousands of people dying every day. Even though it's improved now, still hundreds are dying every day. The terror is, I am this little body, and therefore anything that happens to it, disease and old age and death, is terrible because it's happening to me. When you realize I am the consciousness in which this entire universe, including this little body and mind, appearing and playing around and disappearing, then this feeling of limitedness and the terror and the desire that arises out of that will not happen. Na sambhavo asti. It's impossible. This is moksha. This is realization and enlightenment and realization. Moksha, freedom from suffering. So we are back to where we started, where Ramachandra told Hanuman, if you want moksha, you read the Mandukya Upanishad. Should we take... I think we have...
Thank you, Swamiji. Is Swamiji want to continue? Swamiji can please continue. There are 4-5 questions, Swamiji.
Let's take up the questions because we
Should I club them and give it to Swamiji? It might be...
tell me the
Some are short, Swamiji. Some of the short ones are, what is the reality of corona? Why do we make a mistake of that rope snake? Why do we assume rope is a snake? And what is the difference between prana and jiva? So all the definition of Atma, Jivatma, I think there's a confusion of what is Atma, Jivatma, Paramatma, Ekatma, Sarvatma. What is the reality of Corona? Why do we mistake rope and to be a snake? And the first question actually was, Swamiji said that you cannot describe Turiya, went on describing it. So can he please unfold Turiya a little more?
You cannot describe it. Why can't you describe it? That's the part I did not touch upon. Description requires language. So any kind of description will require language. And then Shankaracharya investigates how language works. See, we always say Turiya cannot be described, Brahman is beyond words, Avang Manasa Gocharam, beyond thought and beyond. But why? Why is it beyond words? And aren't you using words? Brahman, Atman, Turiya. So there's a beautiful section in which Shankaracharya actually talks about the philosophy of language and shows why language cannot encompass or describe Turiya, but also how language can indirectly point to Turiya. If language cannot tell us what Turiya is, language can tell you what it is not. So this is called the via negative, or the negative approach. So I'll just leave it at that. Atma, Sarvatma, Jivatma, so they will have to take a longer time, but very quickly, this waker, I am the waker, this body and mind, and experiencing a world full of coronavirus and all of this. This is Jagrat Avastha. So here I am the Jivatma inhabiting the Jagat. And so this is my state. What Advaita is saying, that there is a deeper reality. This is just an appearance. It's not the final reality. It's not the ultimate reality. It is what Advaita calls a Vyavaharika, transactional reality. It's like the movie playing on the screen. You are not a character in the movie. See, the character in the movie can get the coronavirus because the coronavirus is a character in the movie also. So they can interact. But the screen on which you are seeing a movie about the coronavirus, the screen cannot get infected. It has no connection at all. That was what Shankaracharya was saying. The real and the unreal, they have no relationship. So, yes.
And Swamiji, another question was, when we go higher into a particular state of consciousness, then how will Maya drag us back? So I think the question is how to deal with that.
Yes. Now, this state of consciousness, this is an important thing to clarify. And this is a way of using words, but one must be careful here. Turiya is not a state of consciousness. Turiya is consciousness, which appears in different states. So waking is a state, dreaming is a state, deep sleep is a state. If you have samadhi, that can also be a state. There are different states, but the reality of those states is Turiya. The example would be, I mentioned that the ornaments, the bracelet and the necklace and the ring and gold. Now, if I ask you, is gold an ornament? You say, no, gold itself is not an ornament, but the ornaments are made of gold. Is gold a particular kind of ornament? So ring is an ornament, necklace is an ornament. So is gold another type of ornament? No, you will say, no. Gold is not a type of ornament, but all types of golden ornaments are made of gold. Somewhat like that, all the states, waking, dreaming, deep sleep, samadhi, whatever, all of those states are appearances in. I mean, if I may use a sort of clumsy use of languages, they are made of, just like ornaments are made of gold, in the same way they are made of consciousness or Turiya. Once you realize that, Maya cannot drag you back, because Maya is also an appearance. It's the source of all these appearances, but it also depends on Turiya for its own existence. So that which depends on something else is less powerful on that, the foundation. So it will not affect us.
Swamiji, Deepaji asks, I am the consciousness. Swamiji said, I am the consciousness in which the universe appears. So can Swamiji please explain that a little more?
Yes. So namaste to Deepaji. I am the consciousness in which the universe appears. Setting aside all these philosophical discussions, just let us look at our experience right now. Here we are looking at a computer screen. Let me ask you, is this computer screen outside you or inside you? You'll say, it's outside me, of course. But really, outside you only when you think about yourself as the body. Yes, the computer is a physical thing, the body is a physical thing, they are two separate things. But in your awareness, you are aware of the computer, you are aware of the body. In a sense, from the perspective of awareness, both computer and body are in awareness. A good example would be dreams. Suppose you are dreaming, you're not actually sitting here in the waking state and watching something on a computer, you're dreaming that you are watching something on a computer. When you wake up, what will you say? Oh, all those things were in the mind. There you don't hesitate to say the computer was inside me. How was it inside you? It was imagined in the mind. But here, what I'm trying to say, and Upanishad is also saying that, it's not something for the future when you become enlightened and a great Jivan Mukta. Right now, this is what the beauty of Advaita. It says, right now, whatever we experience, it is within awareness. only in awareness that we are bodies or minds, that there is a world, that there is waking, dreaming, even the blankness of deep sleep is also within awareness. Once you realize that means notice it and begin to think and talk and behave as if you are the awareness, not the body. Right now, we think we are bodies with some awareness. What the Upanishad is telling you, think about yourself as an awareness, in which a body appears, in which a world appears, in which thoughts also appear.
Thank you, Swamiji. That was very, very clear. Related question which Swamiji might want to answer is, again, going back to the rope and snake, what is the event that sees the rope as a snake? Is it karma or complete illusion or reality? That is the question.
Right. Let's put it this way. Why at all do we make these mistakes? Before you come to Turiam and the three states, Brahman and Jagat, just the rope snake. Why at all do we make this? The fundamental cause of an error is not knowing the ground of the error. If you knew a rope as a rope to begin with, you would not make the mistake of thinking of it as a snake. What happens normally is there is something there in the semi-darkness. Oh my God, it's a snake. Now remember, to know the rope, to mistake the rope as a snake, you must, for time being, you must be not aware of its nature as a rope. What is required? You must be aware of its existence. It is there. But what it is, I don't know. Then Maya starts acting. Then the possibility of error is there. We impose the snake name and form. Impose means make an error. Actually do not impose anything. We make an error. Similarly, we are aware of ourselves. I exist. But what am I don't know. What happens to me? I experience a mind and a body and a world. And I think, oh, I am this. Or in the dream state, I am the dream body in a dream world. Or in the blank state, nothing, there's no thought at all. All of this is superimposed because we do not know ourselves as Turiya. So that is a crucial thing to, you think it's water in the desert because you don't know it's a mirage. The moment you know it's a mirage, you're still seeing the same thing. But now you don't think it's water and you don't behave. You don't rush towards it to drink it because you know it's not there. You know it's a mirage. Similarly, our reactions to this world, which is really the source of suffering. The same coronavirus here I can see. Some people are facing it bravely and calmly, even if they are not Advaitins. And some people are getting very upset and very unhappy. Advaita helps you. So we are having a philosophical discussion tomorrow here, online of course, on the Greek philosophy of Stoicism. That in the face of suffering, it will remain calm and strong through a philosophical understanding. This is the nature of the world. Now that attitude is very difficult to maintain. It requires a very tough and very stable mind. Advaita gives you the philosophical basis of this. How can I be tough? How can I be strong? How can I be serene and peaceful? In the news today, it was there that dead bodies have been found in a morgue, not in a morgue, in trucks. They are unable to cremate the bodies. Now, I must have that kind of strength from my realization of myself as Turiya, that tomorrow, I'm fine now as Turiya. Tomorrow, if I get coronavirus and I die and the body is decomposing in a truck, and what might seem to be a terrible end is absolutely nothing to you. That is also an object in you, the Turiyam, which is completely unaffected by it. The worst of situations also you can face, and the best of situations also, you are serene.
Very profound, Swamiji. One last question, if Swamiji doesn't mind. It is a very important question for all of us. What are the metrics to measure signposts as signposts for our sadhana? If you're a sadhaka, what are the metrics that can show the progress?
Yes. Not progress towards becoming Turiya, because you don't become Turiya, you are Turiya. But there's a progress in manifesting that realization in the world, in our activities in the world, and the dealings with the world, and in our reactions to the world. So there, the more serene we are, the more unaffected we are by the vicissitudes of the world. Our reactions to the world will be much less. The intensity of those reactions also will be much less. Earlier, I used to fly into a rage Now maybe I'm a little bit irritated and very soon it's gone. That's progress. And this idea, this understanding that I am Brahman, this will go from being conceptual, abstract, to being very real. This is the reality. And the world itself will seem to be abstract. After all, tell me, what's what's abstract and what's real? Is the necklace real, or is the gold real? Is the necklace abstract, or is the gold abstract? You see, when you know what gold is, you'll see gold is the reality. A necklace is a name and a form and activity. So those are the signposts. The detachment, a kind of serenity towards the world, and being more and more centered in your nature as Brahman.
Swamiji, I did say that was the last question. There's one more and it's really related, and I think I want to know the answer too. So I will trouble Swamiji with one last question. Even though we understand that Turiya and consciousness, about consciousness, we forget it when we continue to do our daily routine. Why, Swamiji? Why do we forget that?
We forget it. Listen carefully to the language of the question. Who forgets? Does Turiya forget?
No.
Where is remembering and where is forgetting? When I do not know that I'm Turiya, suppose I don't know any of this. Am I Turiyam right now or not? What does Advaita say?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. When I'm forgotten, when I'm not even thinking about Advaita Vedanta, when I've forgotten that I'm Turiya, am I Turiyam, am I Brahman exactly the same way as Ramana Maharshi or Sri Ramakrishna, or exactly the same Turiyam I am, the same reality. Even I'm totally forgotten about it. Think, remembering, understanding, forgetting, these things happen in the mind, in the buddhi. So this thing you must know. So you say, practically, what do I do? The mind will be like that. When you engage the mind in the world, it may not continuously dwell on, I am Brahman, I am Brahman. No, it may not. But this much we can do. If I have conviction, if I have clarity, the moment I have any trouble, let that be a trigger that immediately I withdraw or I stabilize myself, I center myself. Aham Brahmasmi. Now I look upon this trouble and say, what is it to me? Yeah. So a trouble can trigger us into reasserting that knowledge which is already there.
Thank you so much, Swamiji. This was so wonderful. We look forward to having Swamiji again. To all the attendees, Swamiji is going to give another talk on the 4th of May, same time, 8:30 EST, Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, Swamiji. We're really honored to have Swamiji here and looking forward to Swamiji again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.